Hello, welcome back. This is actually the third time that I'm trying to record this. Two times before, my batteries on my audio receiver went out. I'm not sure what's happening. I put in new batteries, I think, but it gave a battery drain again. So I now put in a fixed microphone. So hopefully you won't notice it. I've put it in an interesting place compared to my mouth, so it should be okay. I'm making this video. I was on a trip for about 3 or 4 weeks to Norway, and I actually used this camera, and that's also why there was no videos out. And I wanted to quickly acknowledge that over time, I think I've now been in contact with about 5 or 6 people that have a problem with the L bracket 2122 from smallrig. And since I was kind of involved in, let's say, the whole getting this thing to market, and people kind of know me for it, I wanted to at least acknowledge that I know that they're having this problem. I'm still not sure why the problem is happening. It might be a wrong batch, it might be just something different that I do compared to what they are doing, but I wanted to show some of the tricks that I've been doing from the start, not for this reason, but it might also affect the end result. And I think there are simple fixes or let's say additions to how to use this L bracket that makes sense anyway, so I want to showcase it. Before I made the argument that I hadn't opened this up and I didn't lock it down and didn't tighten it up for 6 weeks. So during the trip, before the trip, on the flight, out of the flight, taking it out of the bag every day, moving it about all day in quite harsh conditions, at points in rain and stuff. So no movement for me at all. It has been extremely stable. I can't make this claim now anymore because I opened it up half an hour ago when I was making the first 2 versions of the video that I had to delete because there was no audio. So, but we will go to the process anyway, and I will show you what I've done and why I think it might affect some of these results. So the first thing I want to, because I know that not everybody, although we now have 2,500 subscribers, you probably have not seen all my videos, but one thing I really like, I'm trying to convince smallrig to add to next versions, is this gun tape material, so this grip material. I will put a link in the description if you don't want to look for the older videos where I explain this. I think this improves the grip a lot. In fact, you might use the same material also on the inside, which I'm showing now. I have not tried it because I added the tape later, but it might also work over there. The next thing I wanted to acknowledge is that, in fact, I was a little bit worried about losing this Allen wrench tool. Over 6 weeks out and about, I have not lost it, so I found it this morning. It was still there, so that's good news to open it up. Also, let me take this plug out, which, if people followed my first video on the weather protection, I entered this plug. I explain it over there. The whole idea is to keep water away from the door, which is already better because it's 2 centimeters high. But what I'm showing now might have effect on the problem that people are having, although I did it to improve the weather sealing. Except for one small thing, but I will get back to that when I'm opening it up. So let me open it up for the first time in 6 weeks, which is not true because I opened it up half an hour ago. Also then it was not too tight, it was quite easy to open up still, so I didn't silly hard lock it down. Of course it will go off quite easy now because it was off before. It also went quite easy before. Let me put the camera away. And one thing that might affect it, I doubt it, is I also put this grip material over here, which is on the body, so that might also improve a little bit the movement. I've checked before if I see any damage to the L bracket, and I don't. And this is really the oldest L bracket from a smallrig that's out there, because this is the pre-production unit. There's probably not one of out there which have been used and been on there longer than this one, and it still looks totally new to me. I don't see any scuff marks or other things that I should be worried about. So one thing that I do acknowledge is that, that I asked from the beginning is to put some rubbers here. They decided not to. That has to do with the way that they produced it or the way that they designed it. Maybe we'll do it on next version, I don't know. But there was never the plan to totally fill this up with rubber, what I wanted. And they also have this ridge here, which is a little bit more roomy than needed. And I did this because they want to use the same L bracket for the A7 and the A9. And the A9 is a little bit thicker, so there is a little bit of room there if you don't lock it down correctly, which might be again an issue. Now what I did from the beginning, so let's get back to the camera, is added a little bit of rubber. I did this for weather protection, and when you put it down, quite bluntly, I had the same thing with the other L bracket, so the really right stuff. If you put it down quite forcefully, you did feel a little bit of movement. And I compared it to a shock absorber. I think once you add a little bit of rubber inside, it will just feel better. And I had the same thing with the $200 or euros L brackets that I had with the $20 L brackets. So I always added this little bit of rubber there. In the case of the Sonys, I think the extra reason is, and also with this L bracket, is that I can make a little bit of a flap, and you can see it here. Let me turn it around. A little bit of a flap to fill this little part. Right, so that any extra space that was there is now filled up by this rubber. But the main reason for me to do it is, after reading some of the lens review teardowns, we know that the weak point is the lower part. So I made simple fixes like the plug, like putting a little bit of tape over the battery door, which is the weakest point. And also on the inside, you can see my other videos about this. But I also added this rubber, and I think maybe, so let me take it off, that was part of making the movement less. There's just more friction there for the camera to do. So I suggest, and I'm kind of surprised that not more people are doing this, adding this type of rubber in between, the same as with the grip material. I think, although they could have put it there from the beginning, and maybe they will do that in the next version, I think there are easy fixes to add, and I have no problem in adding some of these things myself to a product. You can just cut it out, get some rubber of a very thin variant, and then put it in there. I also did, because the lens rental teardown clearly made this point, that the 7 or 6 screws that are below here are weak points. So I taped them over. Again, adding maybe a little bit of grip for the camera not to move, and also protecting the body. So yeah, I just wanted to put it out there that with this setup, which I've done from the beginning, I had no problem at all in the the last 6 weeks in movement in the L bracket. In fact, I have not had a problem from the beginning of it moving on me. So yeah, that's all I can say about it. Again, still not sure if there was a production issue or anything else. I do think, and we are thinking about it quite, I'm slowly talking to SmallRig about a possible update. So a next video I'm going to show is a video extension that we have been working on, which will be more screencast. So I will make this afternoon. But on the talking to them about a possible follow-up of this one, they tend to replace, let's say, well-selling products, and this has been selling very well, about every 6 months or every 6 months or 8 months, just doing an update of it. So I suspect there will be an update, and I do think, although I don't have a problem with it, I think there are several areas where this L bracket can be improved. And one area which I think can be improved is maybe this movement. I think the next one they should design specifically for the A7 series, not the A9. So that means the tolerance can be tighter. And I also think maybe we can come up with a way to physically lock it down so that it can't move. Because of course you now have one attachment point, right? And there's always a problem on some of their cages. They actually use a small screw over here to lock it down to a second point of the body. I'm not sure if that's the fix, but I do think it's worth thinking about. Could we sidestep the whole problem by having a second point where we can attach it to the camera? So that's an open question, and it's definitely on the wish list to improving this product. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this. Hopefully you can make these changes yourself. They're quite easy, and I think they will improve the use of the L bracket anyway. So the gun material, the inside tape on the tape on the bottom of your camera, easy fix, and maybe a little bit of rubber inside, which covers. Let me just put it in so you can clearly see it. Right, it just also covers this edge a little bit, and if you put it in the camera you don't see it at all, and it will make the thing a little bit more stable. And for me, especially when I put it down, you can just feel that it's more of a solid sort of unit. And I never, especially with the gun grip material, I never have the feeling that I'm actually touching two different parts. It feels like one camera, and I think that's important for me when I'm using it. And I'm already noticing, even because I've not used the camera like this for many months, how irritated I now am that it does not feel complete somehow. Again, to each his own. That's why options like this L bracket and smaller L brackets or no L brackets or battery grips or pinky extensions are so nice. I think Sony should not make the camera bigger. Please, Sony, don't make the camera bigger. Maybe a little bit wider because of the lenses. We talked about this before because of this. But I don't think they should make it bigger. I think having extensions or having third parties providing solutions for different people with different hands and different wishes is a much better option. So also look at my next video, which is about the video part that we are designing. So this part can come out and you can add a different part here, and we are looking forward into trying to get our hands on that one. I think it's a very interesting solution. But if you had this problem with movement on your smallrig L bracket, still not sure if it was not a production run, so please talk a problem in one of the batches. So please talk to smallrig about it. But if you add these modifications I just showed you, I think it might also resolve the problem or just make it a better experience to begin with. So hopefully the audio will be good on this one. Yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.